Hey everyone, you're listening to Ankur Warikoo on Woice with Warikoo. On this podcast, I talk to you about entrepreneurship, how to grow in life, manage personal finances, handle failures, and a lot more things that just come to my mind. The episode begins. So, in this podcast episode, I wanted to try and answer this question that I get asked quite often. When do we know is the right time to give up? And this happens in multiple contexts. I think the most common context is students who are preparing for entrance exams. They have given multiple attempts. They haven't made it as yet. And they're like, hey, should I continue or should I move on? Should I give up or not? Like, how do we even know that this will be the right thing for us to do? That we should not take another attempt and instead try and find something else? Or entrepreneurs who have been working on their startups for quite some time, have not made any big headway, and they're like, not sure. If I quit and if I shut down my startup, will that be giving up? If I continue, will that be fake persistence or irrational optimism? How do we decide? It could be in relationships. There are relationships you find yourself stuck in, and you're not sure whether you should continue working on the relationship or whether you should just give up. So it is a very important question to ask, and very often we don't have the answer. So I was listening to a podcast by this gentleman called Jordan Peterson. I don't know if you know of him. If you don't, please look him up. He's a very strong personality, a very clear thinker, a great academic. He is a qualified psychologist and he has taught in the leading universities across the world. He's a very accomplished author and a very, very deep thinker. And because he's a clinical psychologist, he has also been treating patients for various psychological problems, including this giving up phenomenon, where people don't know when would be the right time to give up. And during that podcast, he mentioned something which got my attention so much that I thought I would want to share this with all of you. He said that he often prescribes to his clients the following yardstick for deciding whether it is the right time to give up or not. He says, if what you're going to do after you give up is just as hard, if not more, than what you were doing, then it may be the right time to give up. Or at least it's a good way of measuring whether this is the right thing to give up or not. Let me repeat that. If what you're going to do after you give up is going to be just as hard, if not more, than what is it that you were doing, then it may be the right decision for you to give up. And that sounds like such terrific advice the more I thought about it. So let's use this for these three examples that I shared. Let's say you're a student. Let's say you have been preparing for the engineering examinations or NEET or CA, and you've given multiple attempts, but none of them have worked out. And you're like, hey, should I give up or not? Well, what are the options? So if you do give up, what do you do next? Do you join another college? Do you pick up a job? Do you go and start preparing for some other entrance examination? And if the answer is that whatever it is that you're going to do after you decide to give up is going to be easier than this, then maybe you are actually just giving up. Maybe that is giving up as against you realizing that this was not meant to be. So what you have to do is it's okay to give up. It's okay to realize that I am not qualified to become an engineer. I don't want to pursue medicine. I don't want to become a CA, a lawyer, a journalist, or whatever is it. But whatever is it that I do instead has to be, by definition, harder or at least equal to what is it that I was doing right now. I can't be choosing something that's easier, because when I do that, then there is a part of me that wants to give up because I know that the alternative is easier. You see that point? It's a very subtle nuance, but a very powerful one at that. Let's say you are an entrepreneur. You've been working really hard to get your startup up on its feet, and it's taken years, but it still isn't there, and you're struggling. You're not sure of whether you should persist or you should give up. Well, if you do decide to shut down your startup, whatever are your options after that? Do they set you up for a harder challenge or an easier challenge? Is it that you have jobs waiting for you And that's why you feel, hey, should I go for the financial stability? Because that's what I need at this point of time. And because this job is in front of me, I'm questioning whether this is the right time for me to give up or not, or should I persist? And if the options in front of you are easier than what you're going through right now, then it may indeed be true that you're giving up, that this may not be, in its true sense, a realization that you're not meant to do it, but you're just taking the easy way out. I love this heuristic. I love this mental model. And it's so simple, yet so powerful, that I only needed 6 minutes to communicate it with you. But I hope it was powerful enough that you're going to use this for an evaluation from now on, for everything. All the best. Thank you for listening to this episode of Woice with Warikoo. To be notified of upcoming episodes, be sure to subscribe and follow the show on this app right now. Also, don't forget to rate and review the show because that just feels nice. Thank you.